In India, cooperative management is a very important area where Vaikund Mehta National Institute of Cooperative Management is taking lead in conducting training and education program. This is the brainchild of our director, Dr. Hema Yadav Madam. As per her initiation with African ASEAN Rural Development Organization, ARDO, with His Excellency Dr. Manoj Sir's effort, this program has been conceived, finalized, and we are going to start today. We have admitted 141 participants from 26 countries. I can list out the name also. Burkina Faso, Egypt, Ethiopia, Ghana, India, Iraq, Jordan, Malawi, Malaysia, Mauritius, Morocco, Myanmar, Namibia, Nigeria, Pakistan, Palestine, Sierra Leone, Sri Lanka, Sudan, Swaziland, Syria, Tanzania, Thailand, Tunisia, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. It is a wonderful platform in which we have all connected. We have till now around 64 participants only there. If His Excellency Secretary General permits, we can wait for 5 minutes. Otherwise, we can start, sir.
Very good afternoon. Secretary General speaking. I think we can wait for 5 minutes. Let's give some time.
Yes, sir.
Some may be still connecting.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
My deep regards and greetings to Secretary General, His Excellency from ARDO. I'm Hema Yadav from WAMDICOM. It's been a kind of a very delightful experience to be organizing such an important program under the ARDO support. So thank you so much for all this, giving us this opportunity to organize this program online. So as His Excellency has said, we are waiting for some more people to join, and then we will start the program here.
So Vaikund Mehta National Institute of Cooperative Management, we briefly call in short form WAMNICOM, is a national institute catering to the training need of cooperative sector. And we as an institute initiated education program also 30 years back in the area of cooperation and converted and restructured towards agribusiness management. And this agribusiness management program is a 2 years program, which we are offering in WAMNICOM campus. And the details of the program you can see in our website. And we have few foreign nation seats also. It is a relevant, meaningful training program. Since I have seen the officers participating from these 25 countries are connected with the agriculture sector. And here I would like to convey that this PGDM ABM program, where the students are taking admission, are connected with the agricultural background. And they come to WAMNICOM, Pune for higher studies after completing their 3 years agriculture or agri-engineering subject, food technology subject, and come here and learn the management technique, entrepreneurship skill, and also business management. So this program helps them to take managerial decision, starting a new venture in the area of agribusiness area. So we take the support of faculty members from different institutions, including Indian Institute of Management, and also Entrepreneurial Development Institute, EDI, and various other prestigious institutions to give education to the students. So you can also think of deputing the students and making use of these available resources. And as far as training is concerned, the management development programs, Vaikunth Mehta National Institute of Cooperative Management conducts regularly for the participants from within the country as well as neighboring country. Due to the effort of our director, Dr. Hema Yadav Madam, we are also expanding to different international organization also. And one more thing I would like to brief in this platform. This VAMNICOM is one of the active promoter member of CICTA, Center for International Cooperation and Training in Agricultural Banking. So this was the effort of FAO and the Government of India, and they requested National Cooperative Union of India to set up this institution in VAMNICOM campus. And the director of VAMNICOM is the director of CICTA also. We also regularly conduct training programs for the cooperative and rural financing institutions. Under CICTA, we have around 37 member institutions in SAARC countries. We connect over the training programs. We do program in Nepal. We do program in Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and also in India, different parts. The training programs we offered in collaboration with our member institution. This Ardo platform will strengthen VAMNICOM in conducting more number of training programs relating to cooperation, rural financing institutions, and also emerging new agribusiness area, including entrepreneurship.
I think the team can just confirm if people have
81
joined.
has joined. 10 more join. 10 more
Right.
join.
So we can request Secretary General.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. Sir, shall we start, sir? His Excellency Secretary General.
Thank you. I think we may start now.
Yes, sir.
Others will join us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So this online training program we designed based on our experience in the field of cooperative sector, in which we are more than 5 decades, we are conducting training programs. We designed this course, but it is very difficult. The cooperative sector is such a very big area and covering almost all the business activity in India. It will be difficult to concise and make this program in 8 hours, in 4 days. 2 hours is a very tough job. Even then, our Dr. Hema Yadav Madam has designed and very nicely and given opportunity to discuss about the major areas. Mainly, cooperatives started with financing the farmers through cooperative sector. Basically, it's a 3-tier structure. So this financing is made by NABARD. So in this 4 days program, we will be connecting the dots where important role played by one is NABARD, second is the financier for the cooperative sector, NCDC, National Cooperative Development Corporation, and training, and also the Federation of all cooperatives, National Cooperative Union of India, and also few successful examples like Mulkano, Sri Ram Multipurpose Society, and also few experiences also we will be sharing. And at the end of the 4th day, there is a 25 countries are in this connection, in this platform. We expect some new business idea from this 4 days activity. This is the expectation in this 4 days program. Now, I invite our director, Dr. Hema Yadav, Madam, for briefing about this particular program. So for the benefit of our participants, those who have joined in this platform, our director, Dr. Hema Yadav, is basically a variety of areas she has developed in the marketing side, because previous assignment, she was the director in National Institute of Agricultural Marketing, and the area of specialization she has done is
Sir, please unmute yourselves.
our director has a wide area of specialization: agriculture marketing infrastructure, agriculture marketing policy and reform, value chain assessment, market linkages, commodity and market analysis, women and skill development and entrepreneurship. Further, as per her position and in the top level in this WAMNICOM, at the level of Joint Secretary, she has been associated with various policy, cooperation policy aspects also. Previously also, her expertise was invited and involved in national doubling the farmers' income part. As a panel of member, she contributed as a national lead agency coordinator with the integrated development of horticulture, Ministry of Agriculture also. So we can list out many government and international projects relating to agricultural marketing she has contributed, and this has made her to be become appointed as a director of WAMNICOM as well as SICTA. So I invite our director, Dr. Hema Yadav Madam, to address this audience online platform connected. Madam, please go over to Madam.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi. Honorable Secretary General of ADO, Mr. Manojji, all the participants from the 25 countries who have joined online, Dr. Ravi and my team at WAMNICOM, I extend a warm welcome to all of you in this online training program. This training program has been a very important program for ADO as well as for WAMNICOM. And ADO has member countries and have been very extensively reaching out to have the participants from the 25 countries who are now joined this training program. I will just set up the context here. So Dr. Ravi has told you about WAMNICOM, abbreviated as WAMNICOM. We are under Ministry of Cooperation. A lot of interesting things are happening in India where cooperation is concerned. So we have a new Ministry of Cooperation under which cooperatives have been given a lot of importance in our Indian economy. How cooperatives can play an important role in an economy. How do we kind of increase the share of cooperatives in the GDP of the country? We have recently kind of worked on the national cooperation policy. The underlying evolving thought is now that cooperatives have to strive to achieve the excellence only through cooperation, which means to say that the cooperatives and the other kind of producer organizations or the self-help groups or the other organizations which are available in the bottom of the pyramid have to extend a cooperation. We're also saying as to how to bring efficiency in the cooperatives, how to bring technology into the cooperatives. And our cooperative societies are now under computerizations. We are also kind of bringing youth into the cooperatives. So we're trying to accelerate the cooperative movement, one. And second thing is we're trying to bring the vibrancy in the cooperatives. When we see the share of different sectors in cooperatives, we find that agriculture happens to be the most important sector where cooperatives have been very successful. Hence the course, hence this training program, agribusiness to cooperative business models.
The documents I have worked here before. My drive is empty. And I want to go and do some.
Madam, you can just unmute yourself. We have mute.
Okay. Yeah, right. Sorry. So I'm coming back again. So the context is that in the cooperative societies engaged in the agriculture and agribusiness, are the most important cooperative societies because they bring the profit back to the farmers. In the agribusiness scape, a lot of technology has come. There are a lot of people who are investing. There are a lot of young people who are coming forward to bring out a new kind of a business model. So in this training program, we are trying to bring the agribusiness to be understood as a value chain. So when we talk about the value chain, we are talking about, that each component that we have in a supply chain has to add a value to it. And therefore, by bringing all the value chains in the concept, we can have an integrated value chain. For example, if you're starting with the post-harvest management, you have to grade the produce well, you have to package the produce well, you have to have logistics, and you have to finance. So how do we bring the finance to be able to add to the value so that constantly the process of adding value is on? Therefore, when you add value to the whole process, the agribusiness will become profitable. Therefore, this training program, we are bringing you some success stories of India, especially India has been very successful where Dairy Federation is there. The success story of Amul, the success story of the sugar cooperatives also in India, where we are now moving towards the ethanol, and how we are also moving towards sustainability. Many of our cooperatives are now achieving the sustainability criteria also. So what we have is cooperatives which are going to add value into the agribusiness through the various interventions. What are those business models that can be adapted by the cooperatives, right, which are already available? And what are those cases that we can learn from each other? So there could be some case study which are important in the countries, which we can bring into this forum, and we try to learn from each other. So this is how we have designed this program. This is an online program where we have to kind of follow that. We have to be careful about, muting, unmuting, putting the video on, right? We have to use these tools which we are all kind of well versed with, because we have been doing so many things on online now in this digital, environment. We have to use the right kind of, raising hands and, using some kind of tools. So to communicate, effectively communicate on this online, I would request everyone to be kind of use these tools and make this whole process a very smooth one. Make this whole process a very learning one. Do come out with questions. Do come out with your sharing the experience so that we learn from each other. Finally, I owe my gratitude and thanks to ADO for kind of trusting Vamnicom with this responsibility. And we hope that we will work together for many such programs. Thank you so much.
Madam, for giving the opening remarks and guiding us in conducting this 4 days training program, online training program. Now it is time to request His Excellency to inaugurate this program. So His Excellency Dr. Manoj Nardo Singh sir, who hails from Mauritius, he has took over the charge of Office of Secretary General in 2019, and previously he was assigned he was in charge of Assistant Secretary General position, and he has background of Master of Science in Economics area, and he has done PhD from erstwhile Russia, and His Excellency has connected with various ILO and UNDP projects. He has wide knowledge relating to the areas which are relevant for our cooperatives as well as world economic development. So with this background, I request His Excellency to kindly inaugurate this online 4 days program. Over to His Excellency Secretary General.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi. Our respected Dr. Hema Yadav, the Director of Vamnicom Meta National Institute of Cooperative Management, Vamnicom, also Director of SICTAB, my Assistant Secretary General, who is connected, Dr. Ravi, our faculty member of Vamnicom, and also consultant of SICTAB, Mrs. Sabah Sayed, Research Officer of Vamnicom, we've got, I do understand, NCDC officials, Mr. Ritesh Dey, Director, NCUI, Mrs. Rami Dara, General Manager, NABARD, distinguished faculty members, eminent resource persons, other SICTAB officers and officers from ADO, Dr. Bera, who is also a coordinator. My dear participants, all other protocols respected, ladies and gentlemen, a very good day to you all. As Secretary General of ADO, it is an immense pleasure for me to solemnly welcome you all on behalf of 32 governments at this inaugural ceremony of our online training program on agribusiness through cooperative business model, jointly organized by ADO and VAMNICOM. At the outset, I wish to express my sincere gratitude and profound thanks to the director of VAMNICOM for a very professional and dedicated commitment, and also to the whole team for kind support and cooperation is organizing these online training programs. Having, I think Dr. Ravi mentioned, over 140 registered participants from 25 member countries, and also we're having 4 from prospective member countries and partners across Africa and Asia, is indeed truly very encouraging and is a testimony of the importance of the theme of the program. Ladies and gentlemen, you are certainly aware that the African Asian Rural Development Organization is a rural-centric intergovernmental organization and is a vibrant platform with a noble mandate of garnering South-South and triangular cooperation for sustainable agriculture and rural development, while reinforcing members' government commitments towards sustainable and inclusive growth. And in keeping with our strategic objective approved in our strategic framework running up to 2030, ADO is pursuing its HRD flagship programs and trying to promote what we call swift transfer of knowledge and technology to better shape agricultural and rural landscape, and to ensure in general what we call rural prosperity. ADO is providing high-end specialized training program as the one we are running now with our partner VAMNICOM in 14 different countries. We also enjoy observer status in many UN organizations, and we are operating from Delhi with 6 regional offices located in Africa and Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear participants, ADO is assuming greater relevance and responsibility when we do understand most of our member countries are recuperating from the pandemic-induced crippled economies, and they are simultaneously called upon to solve complex and challenging issues such as food security, nutrition security, health security, energy security, environmental safety, just to mention a few. All these conundrums are sharper in rural areas, and they are very dangerously menacing life and livelihoods of small planters especially. Revival tracks of most of our economies are presently lacking the required steam. We know that many economies are facing headwinds and uphill tasks of combating what we call the 4 Fs, the food, fuel, fertilizer, and financial issues. Agribusinesses covering commercial operation, as Dr. Yadav has been mentioning, is a complex value chain in agriculture. All these agribusinesses are nowadays assuming a new dimension, not only because of the daunting challenges, but because the global demand for food continues to rise and is projected to sharply increase to satisfy the requirements of what has been forecasted to be 9 billion people by 2050. Dear participants, ADO and VAMNICOM have purposely teamed up for this training program on agribusiness through cooperative business model. I wish to underline that ADO firmly believes that the cooperative model is one of the best proven models to empower people and to enable those with limited resources to engage in economic activities by ensuring better and fairer returns to its members, while remaining fully committed to a universally agreed set of principles and values. It is an effective model, especially in agribusiness and agriculture, which is often dominated in most of our member countries by small holdings and marginal farmers. The cooperative business model has many appealing components at its core, with the owner-owned user control and user benefit principles and concepts of business. Cooperatives, in fact, offer the institutional structures to garner group effort and to reap economies of scale. We still need more cooperation among cooperatives, as our director has just been underlying in her speech. We may also recall that the theme of for the 2023 International Day of Cooperatives was Cooperatives, Partners for Accelerated Sustainable Development. Indeed, for an economy to achieve full efficiency, besides public and private sectors, the cooperative sector should become a third economic sector. With the recent conclusion of the G20 summit in India last month, nations have been urged to recognize the importance of cooperatives and deploy policy levers to facilitate the participation of cooperative societies in economic sectors and even in enhancing global trade. Thus, we do understand the cooperative model should be continuously promoted as the most versatile people-centric business model, which increases access to capital and market power and enhances growth and development at the grassroots level, enabling thus participation in trade and representation also in decision-making bodies. Cooperatives, we do know that they've got inherent advantages in tackling the problems also of national nature, like poverty alleviation, food security, and employment generation. They do play an important role in improving the lives of rural dwellers. They have indeed also proven to be of greater resilience through rapid and humane responses through a series of crises which humankind have been witnessing over the last decade and so. Strong cooperatives can overcome many difficulties faced by their members. For successful agribusiness cooperatives, I personally presume that the 5 key actions of the cooperative entrepreneurial ecosystem as described by the UN must be properly underscored. Namely, UN has highlighted the policy and regulatory environment, education and capacity building, the culture of cooperation itself, funding and finance, building networks and partnership. One of the key recommendations on how to support and strengthen cooperatives as successful enterprises and to increase their ability to support sustainable development is to integrate cooperative in national development plans and sustainable development goals, the reporting processes, and in national consultations on socio-economic policies. It is generally recommended to provide also policy analysis, technical support, and capacity building assistance to promote the continued growth of cooperatives for the achievement of sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear participants, researchers from academia, practitioners from the cooperative movement, and government departments in charge of cooperatives may note that in contrast to Africa and Asia, agricultural marketing, processing, and supply cooperatives are major players in markets for farm products and farm inputs in North America, Western Europe, and even in Scandinavian countries. Just for example, I will state in the US, agricultural cooperatives handle above 30% of farmers' total farm and also marketing 28% of farmers' total supply purchases are coming through cooperatives. in the European Union also, for example, have been given to understand that cooperatives are playing very important roles in agribusinesses. In countries like Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden, 70 to 80% of farm products are marketed through cooperatives, and cooperatives account for over 50% of farm inputs purchases. We have equally lots of successful cooperatives in India, as Madam Yadav was just underlying. And also there has been a special focus in India of having a separate ministry focusing deliberately on cooperative and their contribution in the economy. We do understand that India has got very good cooperatives in agricultural dairy sector, which have drawn worldwide accolades for their achievements. These examples, my dear participants, could be emulated for both African and Asian countries and all the members of ADU. The complex challenges in agriculture, agribusiness, food security, and sustainable livelihood of farmers indeed call for greater synergy and coherence in policy formulation also, and in implementation across sectors through replication of successful agribusiness models. Besides agricultural services cooperative, agricultural supply cooperatives, and agricultural marketing cooperatives, we may focus on startups, agribusinesses cooperatives. We may come up with innovative solutions, as it is already been implemented in some places, which will be focusing on precision farming, Agri 4.0, mechanization, automation, market intelligence. There are so many, lots of novelties coming in. So cooperatives also have to focus on that. We do also understand that most of the African Asian region, they are offering huge potential in agro processing. And there are many places where processing percentage is very low, and we've got also high post-harvest losses. These are indeed potentials and opportunities for agribusinesses. Undoubtedly, successful agribusiness cooperative model, which you will certainly discuss as you proceed over the next 4 days, would play a crucial and pivotal role in tapping opportunities and in de-risking livelihoods in what we call will be bringing vibrancy, resilience, and competitivity to solve a series of quagmire which are being faced by many people in Asia and Africa. Dear participants, some specific practical puzzles and conundrum would be how to identify this type of model, which appropriate model can you take back to your own countries, how also to make sure that we cooperatively tap opportunities such as I've been relating. And especially I would like to mention here the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which offers really enormous free trade possibilities and processing and agribusiness potential in Africa and Asia and other parts of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very sure and confident that the lecturers will give you lots of inputs and lots of models, and the deliberations during the training programs will certainly highlight agropreneurship development, clustering, value change improvement through successfully implemented cooperative models. You will be participating also in the formulation maybe of some of the recommendations for supporting powerful and successful agribusiness cooperative in other member countries. You will thus assist in responding to a series of issues faced by many farmers and rural communities in Africa and Asia. May I also use this platform to announce that in collaboration with VAMNICOM, we have planned in the very near future, more precisely in December, an offline international training program on governance and management of cooperatives, the Indian experiences. So this is where you will have opportunities also to look into how to enhance the government so that we can have more effective agribusiness cooperatives. Once again, I take this opportunity to reiterate our profound gratitude to all the participants, and a special gratitude and thanks to Dr. Hema Yadav, the respected director of Amnicom, and all the staff supporting this program. And we look forward to more collaboration in months and years to come. With this, I declare the program open. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Very elaborately, you have narrated the success stories of cooperative movement, not only in India and other parts of the world also, and the opportunities for the African countries to explore and implement the activities of relating to agribusiness activity. Thank you very much, sir. So now, on behalf of our director, Vamnicom, I thank the entire team of ARDO, that is His Excellency, Assistant Secretary General, and also Mr. Behra sir, Dr. Sanjeev Behra sir, and Mr. Kamal Tameja, who has initiated the process and made it possible today. And also, I thank the SICTAP Secretariat, Ms. Smita and Mrs. Kalyani for supporting in formulating and finalizing this program. And also, I thank the 25 country participants for willing to learn the cooperative business model, and they have registered in this platform and connected today. And also, on behalf of our institute, I thank the His Excellency Secretary General for having faith on Vamnicom and agreeing to do more collaborative physical program in our campus. Sir, it is to inform you, the institute has come up with a very good hostel, international Vamnicom trainee hostel, and soon it will be inaugurated by our Honorable Cooperation Minister soon. So we are hoping that the new venue, new hostel will have a ARDO supported program in our Vamnicom campus, sir. So with this, I thank one and all for supporting us for doing this one, and special thanks to Sabha Madam for arranging this technical, because it doesn't use Zoom normally. She has initiated and got it permission from Vamnicom authorities, and they have implemented this. Thank you to one and all. Thank you very much. With this inaugural session of this 4 days program, we are concluding. And today, we have 4 interactive sessions. One is about cooperative business model, which I will be briefing, which has over 30 years of experience in this cooperative sector. And next session is about what is agri-business value chain, because cooperative separate part, agri value chain is separate part. So for that, we have invited Professor Yagnik sir. He has a rich experience in entrepreneurial development. Earlier, he was with the EDI, Entrepreneurial Development Institute. Now he is with the LJ University. And next, 3rd session, we have invited Mr. Ritesh Day. He's a director in National Cooperative Union of India, to present about the status of Indian cooperative movement. And in the concluding part of today's 4th session is about agricultural financing in India. For that, we have invited General Manager Madam Roshini from NABARD, National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. So these are the 4 sessions we have lined up for today. And tomorrow also, we have tied up with the 4 relevant success stories and its presentations that we will be updating you one by one. So now we will go to the first session relating to cooperation, that is principles, which I would like to start now. So before that, if you all put up your camera on, we can take a photo. That will be useful for our media. Please switch on your camera so that we can see. And I request our technical support team to take a screenshot. तमेजे सर आप भी ओपन कर लीजिए प्लीज. Sabha, if it is over, you please communicate. Bera, sir. Sabha, madam, is it over?
Sir, please give 1 minute.
Now we have 105 participants. So it must be taking some 4 or 5 screenshot to cover entire participants.
It's over, sir. You can start.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much to all.
Thank you. Sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I'm
Sir.
leaving the meeting.
Thank-
Yeah.
Yeah, we all say thank you very much, Madam Yadav.
Thank you so
Dr.
much, sir.
Yadav, we'll be meeting next for that offline program.
Right, sir.
Thank you
you,
very
sir.
much.
Mr. please check. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
I'm sharing on PPT. Is it
Yes, sir.
visible?
Yes, sir. It is visible, sir.
Visible.
Yes.
So cooperatives is nothing but a business enterprise. It has been given a definition by United Nations. So it is nothing but a voluntarily associating a people in a common goal. So like-minded people coming together, a minimum of 10 participants or 10 members, and starting an economic activity is a cooperative. Still, if it is clearly you want to make, a cooperative is an autonomous association of person united voluntarily. There is no compulsion. United voluntarily to meet their common economic, social, and cultural needs and aspiration through a jointly owned, a democratically controlled enterprise. So there are 3 aspects we need to understand here. There is no compulsion from anybody. It is a voluntary organization, a voluntarily like-minded people with a common purpose to meet a common activity, mainly to meet their economic, social, or cultural needs. They come together and jointly owned activity, and it is democratically controlled enterprise. What is specialty in this? It has value. What is that value? It's a self-help. There is no depend on anyone, including government. It's a self-owned economic activity. They have their own self-help activity and self-responsibility is with them. And there is no dictatorship. It is a democratic. All the 10 or 12 members, those who connected with some economic activity, is responsible for that business. And there is a democracy is there. So there is no higher or lower. All are equal. There is an equality is there. Solidarity is there. Mainly honesty is we can see in this economic activity. So there are 7 principles for undertaking this business activity. I will narrate one by one. The first principle is voluntary and open membership. There is no compulsion. Anyone want to take up start an economic activity, they can come and join voluntarily. Say for example, this Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation is taking care of marketing of the milk, but production is taken care by the farmers. So farmers, nobody told you come and join cooperative. They have come together voluntarily. They started contributing milk to this business activity. So collection is done by the society, cooperative society, and marketed by a separate organization or the association. So purely as per the first principle, it is a voluntary and open membership. Second is democratically member control. There is no control or authority from any outside persons. It is all member-driven activity within the institution or the organization. Third is member economic participation. It is not unlike any private or any commercial activity run by some corporate organization or any business organization. Their intention is to invest certain money and forget about, purchase share and forget. But here in this cooperation or cooperative principle followed institutions, member economic participation is compulsory. If any, say for example, dairy sector, any farmer produces the milk and supplies to this society, then only he has as a member, active member, and other dividend and other profit sharing is possible. So there is a economic participation is required. Say for example, in case of sugar factories, sugarcane cultivation is must. Cultivated sugar must be supplied to the sugar factory for crushing and other processing. So without that, it cannot be possible. But in corporate side, those who have money, even they can invest in that by purchasing some shares and participate in this business. But in this cooperative business, there is an economic participation is must. And fourth principle is autonomy and independence. There is no control on anybody. The business activity can be selected by the team or the members, and then they can start their investment by putting their own money, raise their own resources, take loan from any bank and start their activity. So there is a autonomy in their business and there is no intervention from anybody. And as per the fifth principle, every cooperative society is expected to be transparent and give education and training to the members. So the fifth principle says education, training, and information is very important one. So many time what happen, any individual business, they doesn't share their activity or the income or the profit, nothing. But as per the cooperation or cooperative principle, the business units require, or as per the mandated requirement, they have to inform their performance through their balance sheet and then share the information. So most of the economic activity is disclosed. Anyone can come in, chip in, see, and then start their own activity also. Mainly through this, we can attract youngsters and opinion leaders to understand how a business is going on and what suggestion is required, what intervention is required, they can do it. This is the fifth principle. Sixth principle is, as per this principle, cooperation among cooperatives. So each and every cooperative, it may be at the grassroots level or district level or the state level or the national level or international level, each one support which each other. That is the motto as per the sixth principle. Very importantly, last one is concern for the community. Many of the business activity, they do the activity mainly for their business or the profit purpose. They don't bother about community and its development or services. But as per this seventh principle, concern for community is a part of the economic activity under cooperative sector. So there are differences there. What is the investor-oriented enterprise and what is the user-owned cooperative? So the word itself says user-owned. Previous one is investor owned. Investor is only bother about his money and just invest. If the institution or the organization doesn't work, they will withdraw their money and move to other investments. But in case of cooperative, the word you see, owned, user owned. The member himself is the owner and he himself takes a responsibility. He invests and also take the decision on the distribution of the profit also. So there is a comparison you can compare, and most of the favorable one for the farmer or the member or any cooperative, this cooperative business model is a very relevant one and supports these activities. And we should appreciate members, board of directors, they take decision in both investor-owned enterprise as well as cooperative also. But here, the responsibility of the cooperative board of directors are much, much more, because they know the business and they understand what is the strength and weakness in that particular business, and accordingly, they distribute the surplus. Sometimes even they reinvest the money which they have generated. And cooperatives is one of the things we can start at the local level, and there is no chance of taken over by somebody else. But in corporate business, if you see, some other new investor comes and then take over the business. But in the cooperative business, you can't expect or you can't see, because the owner himself responsible for the economic activity and he doesn't want to sell his business. So he will perform and he will continue in that particular business only. There is a very major difference between the investor-owned enterprise and the user-owned cooperative, because there is no fear of taken over by some foreign investment. But as a business, we need to have entrepreneurial mindset also. So what is that entrepreneurial principle says? We should have a plan or planning. That is, first they should have the enterprise or the business should be identified. There should be a plan for the execution. For this execution, we require money, that is investment. That money, whether it should be own money or the investor collect loan purpose, that need to be taken care. And also production and marketing should be taken care efficiently. And then we should take care of the organization structure to do the activities in a smoother manner, and also watch on the scale of operation, how much required to be expanded in over the years. So this is expected in the business part. And here, what we expect is the cooperative character and the business character should merge, and then the business should be started. So this agri-business activity is already has a business character. By incorporating cooperative business character listed here, we can achieve the excellence. How to do this excellence or the achieve we can do? So we should recruit the suitable and right person, competent person to manage our economic or business activity. We should plan efficiently, and we should identify need-based business or the services. Set the goal realistically and do our work efficiently, and mobilize, especially don't borrow, mobilize saving and capital from members, so that if they invest their own money, the ownership will be more. And optimize use of the resources available, reduce the cost, and also help each other. Identify the problem and help each other. So what the solution is? Communicate precisely, cooperate with each other, display consistent and dependable behavior, empower, is mainly board of directors. It's a big organization. The board of directors take care of the day-to-day decision making. So we should empower the board of directors and educate the members, and also involve them by arranging training, development, not only to the members and the staff member also. If you are all properly, this activity is monitored and also implemented in proper way, we can achieve. That is high productivity we can achieve. We can surplus maximization we can do, through our economic activity, we can organize the organization will be stable, and we can achieve the higher consumer satisfaction. Without consumer satisfaction, we cannot be in the business. We can achieve the higher consumer satisfaction, and also we can satisfy our employees also. In addition to employee, the surrounding social welfare also possible. How to do that? So organize the people for identifying the right business and associate with them in forming a cooperative society. Decide which business they should start based on the resources available in your place, and prepare the business plan, project report, and arrange for share capital or borrowed money, and construct the required infrastructure, and get ready for the business, and also implement the business plan, business development plan which you have prepared, and achieve the objective of both sales as well as revenue. Thank you very much. In this available short period, I have put all the relevant information in a condensed manner. So mainly 7 principles need to be kept in mind when we do the business, and the business will be successful. But how to do other businesses and the information about what is the value chain connected with agriculture will be briefed by Professor Yagnik sir in the next session. And thank you very much for patient listening of this first session. Yagnik sir.
Yes, Dr. Ravi, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Please, sir.
Can I share my PowerPoint?
Yes, sir. Please, sir. So Professor Yagnik was connected with the entrepreneurial area. Especially, he was long years, he served in Entrepreneurial Development Institute, EDI, prestigious institution in India, in Ahmedabad. And presently, he is connected with the LJ University. And we have MOU with Vamnicom and LJ University. So we have requested him to briefly talk about what is the value chain from the agri-business perspective. So I request Yagnik sir to address this audience.
Is my
Over
screen
to
visible?
Yagnik sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Yes.
So, friends, I have a very short period to move you through the concept of agribusiness and its value chain. To begin with, as you know, agriculture is science and practice of farming. Am I audible? The agriculture is science and practice of farming, and which includes cultivation and rearing of animals. Agribusiness is far more, wide and broad, and it's defined as a sum total of operations involved in manufacture and distribution of farm supplies, production operations on farm, and storage, processing, and distribution of farm products. This is a definition coming from Goldberg and Davis. Going a little further, then what is the value chain? Value chain, to be precise, describes the full range of activities which are required to be bring the product or a service from its conception stage through different phases of production, often involving combination of physical transformation, right, to delivery to final consumers and final disposal after use. So even the waste management part is involved in the value chain portion of it. This is the full, business, agribusiness portfolio. And if we look at the current prospects, agribusiness has emerged as a very significant section of economy for many countries, including India. It's about 15% contribution to GDP from agribusiness. So what does the agri value chain encompass? The agri value chain, in broad sense, is comprised of input suppliers, farmers, processors, distributors, marketers, and traders in a set of interlinked activities that work to deliver higher quality and higher value products to meet consumer demand, and also disposal after that. One thing I should emphasize here is a very large section of the productive off-farm activities in agricultural value chains in developing countries are undertaken by small and medium enterprises, right? So this is very important. If we have a look at this diagram, it shows the whole set of components. It starts from agri inputs, and which has seeds, fertilizer, protection mechanisms, farm equipment, irrigation, and agriculture insurance. Any business on this will be part of agribusiness. During farming, farming of food grains, horticulture, commercial crops, oil seeds, poultry, livestock, dairy, fisheries, and aquaculture. Any business on these, possibilities is also agribusiness. Then we have a look at the aggregation stage, where we have wholesalers and aggregators, warehousing, logistics, and cold storages. This all activities also create a plethora of opportunities for agribusiness. Then comes the next stage is processing and ancillary services. And here you have things like organic food, cold storage, processing, logistics. Any business on these activities will also go under agribusiness. And last but not the least, the consumption part, where you have small stores, mega malls, unorganized sellers, retail stores, vendors, hotel, restaurant, and cafes. This will all give a scope for agribusiness. Mind well, those in black here are pre-harvest activities, and the remaining are post-harvest activities. So agribusiness has a very high potential to create shared value across the chain and to address important national and global challenges, that is of inclusive growth, food, healthcare, environment, energy, sustainable development, etc. If we look at the whole overall process, the overview of agribusiness chain, or what are the components and the interlinkages, you see that they are nothing but organizations, one or other type of organization, which link suppliers of inputs to farmers, farmers to agribusinesses, and agribusinesses to the markets. A value chain encompasses flow of products, knowledge, and information, besides finance, payments, and social capital needed to organize producers and communities. Information is most important to all the actors of the value chain, and it flows in two directions. Markets informs the producers of price, quantity, quality, needs, and the technology options. Whereas the producers inform the processors and the market on production qualities, quantities, location, timing, and production issues. So this the market will say that we will need this kind of products in times to come, and the producers will inform the market that this type of products are coming on this time through this location. And one of the major components in a value chain approach is that there is an element of financing involved, and there is also a component of training possible depending on the type of product being worked upon. The global trends that have influenced the value chains are as below. One, customer is becoming more and more affluent and discerning, and he is becoming a cautious global consumer. There is a rising concern for environment. There is an increasing demand for organic products, and there is an increasing concern for food safety. All the three together have made, need to get associated with one or other component of the value chain very, very important. The second part is, rather than the raw produce, the global food trade is growing faster than the primary products. And this also entails connect with the value chain mechanism in any agribusiness setup. Now, large food retailers are controlling a larger share, a very big share of the global food market. And consolidation and concentration in global industry, both in input and output, is happening. FDI in food sector in developing countries is rising at exponential rate, and new technology is shaping how agricultural value chains are organized, offering new opportunities and some risks. Why is value chain important? Number one, there are 4 main reasons to trigger and promote value chain development in agribusiness. The first one is system efficiency. Value chain enables or gives opportunities for reducing cost and increasing efficiencies in the market if the value chain stakeholders work together. There is also a very big opportunity for improvement in product quality. And because there is a rising competition, the competition is becoming very, very fierce day by day. What counts is the end product that the consumer receives and the level of satisfaction that the end product creates among the consumers. The third need is for differentiating your product. Product differentiation has become very, very crucial. And because there is a lot of competition, both national as well as international level, consumers are demanding new products that require supply chain partners to share information and systems to or unique, having specialized, unique inputs. And there is a very much enabling, well-grown, well-flourished environment, which is enabling for agribusinesses. So the present environment is quite supportive for agribusiness growth, and it is improving favorably. And that is the reason why it is more and more important to have a say in the value chain approach. Let us understand how the value chain really adds value through an example. The term value chain refers to the fact that value is added to primary products through combination of other resources, which could be manpower, knowledge, skills, other raw materials, or preliminary products. As the product passes through several stages of value chain, the value of the product increases. Let's start with an example of a milk, right? So we have inputs. If we just have these basic things done, the milk coming out of farm could be 25 rupees per liter. When this milk, raw milk, is taken through another set of processes, having labor, electricity, chilling, and testing, the end result gets, improved in terms of price, and it becomes 40. Hello.
Dr. Jigansu, please unmute yourself.
Please unmute yourself.
Yeah. So when this product at the farm level is 25 rupees, when these processes of chilling and other things are added, the value added is 15 bucks and it becomes 40 bucks. Again, when it is transported from this location to another location, a further value addition happens. And a 40 rupees worth product here gets upgraded to a 45 rupees worth milk. Further processing at a factory and packaging work done with marketing efforts makes this 45 rupees per liter milk 75 rupees per liter worth. And finally, at the retail shop, the cost of the milk becomes rupees 80 per liter. The end consumer receives this milk at 95 rupees per liter. Various stages add value to the product. And this is what we mean by participation in value chain rather than just getting through your product at this stage. If these stages, because in cooperative sector, it is possible to have various phases of value addition incorporated through the cooperative movement. we emphasize that value addition should be done and one should adhere to value chain approach to have better value. If we look at the value chain of fruits and vegetables in India, the input companies and the government agencies provide the input, the seed, fertilizer, pesticide, electricity, and water to farmers. Farmers will generate crops. These farmers will supply these crops directly to food and agro companies, part of which will also go to traders and middlemen, and part of which will go directly to the retailers. The portion that goes to food and agro companies, where they are processed, like if the company is a bakery or a snack or a beverage producer, a further value addition happens here, and a value-added product goes to the retailer, which has far more higher value than the product which has directly gone here through the farmer. Lastly, when these retailers do transportation and send it across to big malls, before reaching the consumer, these intermediaries also earn a substantial profit. So rather than just selling off your crops here, if you go through this process and directly, see to it that you add value to the raw material or the raw produce to make it more value added through some process, the profitability is likely to increase and the role of intermediaries will go down substantially. Now, the value chain ecosystem comprises of input suppliers, producer, processors, and distributors. If you want to really strengthen the value chain ecosystem, all the four need to be strengthened. And where the producers and consumers are connected, it could be very inefficient in general if there is lack of coordinated systems. Each segment of value chain can have unique problems and constraints. And there could be enabling conditions which are different from each stage, from here to here, here to here, here to here, that could be different. And it would be, to get the maximum benefit of a value chain approach, it would be essential to address the entire ecosystem and make it efficient. What is the key determinant of higher value? If we look at this table, the input suppliers, the earning before interest and tax is 15%, and their R&D spending is about 10%. For farmers, the input value, the sales is 3,000 approximately. There is no fixed EBIT, and R&D spend is almost nil. But if we look at the food companies, their annual sale in 2013 was $3,500 billion. Their earning before tax was about 10 to 20%, and their spend on R&D was 8%. The purpose of showing you this particular graph is, or the table, is to highlight that the profitability across a value chain is function of research and development spending or marketing spending across the line. Yes. So what transformation happens, right? What benefits that a value chain approach can produce? One is you get high value produce. There is a rise in efficiency. There is an increase in quantity of produce. There is an increase in quality of produce. There is a rise in income. There is improvement in livelihoods. Great harvest and low labor cost. Skills diversification happen. Gaining marketing and business expertise happens on the course. Increased networks. More learning opportunities. More employment creation. Beneficial for local market. Lack of wastage and opportunity for women to participate in high value activities. Other benefits of business farming through value chain approach in agribusiness are innovative and new products get generated in the course. There is an improvement in product characteristics. The services become better. Great brand names can be created and good market linkages can be assured. We look at the example of Timbali, an African Kenyan company, where they get inputs as the plants grows in nursery, right? These plants are bought by farmers who are given training and technical advice to get it converted to a cut flower. They need some processing to be done. For here, a line of credit is issued through banks. Packaging and other things are carried out. And finally, a branded flower, cut flower, is created through this whole process of nursery to final cut flower product. This is an example of a value chain creation, creation of value through chain in a farming of cut flower. So in general, we get paid for adding value to the raw products and turning them into something worth for other people. This scenario is easy to perceive in case of manufacturing, where we see raw material, right, is being directly processed and converted to something new product. But this idea is as important in service industry also, where people use time, knowledge, equipment, and systems to create services of real value to persons being served, and that is the customer. In most cases, the more the value you create, the more the people will be prepared to pay you good price for your product or services. On a personal level, if you have a lot of value to your product, you will excel in what you do, and you should then expect to be rewarded in line with your contribution. If we look at the, try to understand the value addition that is happening with an example, let us see that there is a seed company, multiplication farmer, who really produces a seed, a quantity of seed to be, used for input. A multiplication farmer gets it, his own original cost is 5.89 rupees. And he then makes to it other cost of transportation. The procurement agency will get it roughly at 14 per kg. When processing is done beyond this point to the wholesaler point, the addition of value, the procurement adds values through processing and packaging, 8 rupees and 10 rupees. Storage, another value addition is done, 8 rupees. And transportation to wholesaler, another 8.5 rupees per kg. A total value addition happens from here to here is 41 rupees. But what the final farmer who buys this seed pays is 90 rupees. In all, from this stage to this stage, a total value addition of 49 rupees, which is a very substantial amount happening to be seen. So what we advise people that you, rather being selling off your goods at this stage, participate in the whole process of value addition and come to at least this stage or this stage so that you get more, substantially more money, which is making your cooperative far more viable than otherwise. So you get competitive edge, you get unique way to manage your risk, your connection with your buyers is assured, your connection with your supplier is more strong, there is a better access to market, there is a reduced time to respond to changing customer demand as a result of better communication with partners, and this is a more rewarding relationship because there is a collaborative dimension added to it. The key challenges in downstream of agriculture value chain. One, some key challenges are multiple intermediaries and lack of transparency. Despite all the efforts and development, still there are some, places which lack digitization and need to be more transparent. Again, in food value chain, there is a lot of wastage and food loss, particularly in India, it is around 60%. And this is very dangerous part. There is a change in consumption, which is seen, and Indian diet particularly, or even other countries, we have seen that high protein intake is becoming more and more important. So there is a shift happening and you have to adjust to those shifting patterns to get this. Before I conclude, I would quickly say that the value chain and the supply chain are two different aspects. Value chain defines full range of activities required to bring a product or a service from conception to the final consumers. The supply chain is not the same as value chain because the supply chain refers to the downstream flow of goods and supplies from source to consumer. Value chain flows from other way. The consumer is the source of value and the value flows from customer to the supplier. So before I conclude, agribusiness value chain, smallholders can produce and sell more products with enhanced quality and increased profit margin. This will result in increased income and long-term sustainable economic benefit. Thank you. I stop my presentation here. The time is up. Thank you, Dr. Ravi.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So participants, if you have any query, you can put it in our WhatsApp group. Then we will collect the answers from the respective subject teachers, topic teachers, and then send it to you in the group. So
and
please,
I'll share my presentation. Don't worry. Tell them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
We will. Please share it to Smita madam, and Smita madam will put it in the group, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. See you.
So next session is relating to status of cooperatives. So for that, we have invited National Cooperative Union of India to address this topic. Mr. Ritesh Day, sir. My presentation I have put in our group, WhatsApp group, Vamnicom online course. So you can go through whatever the doubts or the clarification require, you can put it on the group. I will explain. Likewise, I have requested Yagnik sir also to give his comments or the suggestions or the answers to your queries that will be answered. Day, sir. The National Cooperative Union of India is a very important role which plays in our cooperative movement in this country. So we have invited the representation from National Cooperative Union of India, Mr. Ritesh Day, Director in National Cooperative Union, has been deputed for presenting this topic. So I request Ritesh Day sir to address the audience. Over to Ritesh Day sir.
Yes. Good afternoon, Ravi sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
I'm audible?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yes. Thank you very much. And good afternoon to all the participants. I see nearly 100 participants there at present.
Good afternoon.
And from different countries. It is really a great pleasure and proud privilege to address such a big gathering of people who are all, I understand, the member organization of ARDO. And this time ARDO has joined hand with Vamnicom, prestigious training institutes, cooperative training institutes in India. And the program is being organized. And I have been given the task to give a brief overview about the Indian cooperative movement. Right. So I have prepared a slide presentations. So I think Ravi sir, I should share with them.
Yes, please. You can give it to me. I will put it in the group.
I'll share here on.
Now you can share. Yes, please. Yes,
yes,
please.
I do it here from.
Yes. Visible, sir.
Visible. I want to share the full screen. Just a minute.
In the system itself, first you should make it full screen, then you have to connect.
Okay.
Share.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Now it's
Right.
full screen. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
To begin with, since I'm presenting you the Indian cooperative movement, I've just shared the Indian political map. We have 28 states in India, and we have in some country we call it province, right? So, and we have 8 union territories. These union territories are some different term because it's a smaller place or smaller place which is directly ruled by the union government or central government. By the states, they have an elected representative of political parties from the state itself. Right? So this is the difference. And next, I'll just share you the, because there are participants from many countries who must be wanting to know about the demographic or socio-economic indicators of India. So just one slide I have prepared on that. Total geographical area is about 329 million hectares, and which is 2.4% of the world. And total population is, according to 2021 census, it is 1,393.41 million, and 17.7% of the world. And the male population is about 51.9, female population is 48. And one important statistics just I want to share here is that the age structure of 0 to 35 means the youth, about more than 65% of our total populations are youth, which is generally often our Prime Minister called as a demographic dividend for the India. Population density is 481 per square kilometer. But if you see, the Mumbai city is the most thickly populated, where 21,000 people live per square kilometer, which is quite high compared to the population density. Rural population about 65%. Literacy rates overall is about 77.7%. Male is little higher as compared to female. And per capita income, you see in US dollar, it is nearly 2,389 approximately. In Indian currency, it is INR 197,000, nearly 200,000 the per capita income of India. This is just as a social area and some demographic figure, which I just wanted to share with all of you, since you are from the different countries. Next, I come to our actual presentations today. So this is my layout of the presentation. I'll give a status of Indian cooperative movement. That means an overview, which consists of 4 parts. First, legislation, then what is the structure, then types and numbers. And then I'll come to the what government of India is doing, and what is National Cooperative Development Corporation and Financial Organization, and then the apex body, that is National Cooperative Union of India, which I represent. I am working here as a director and looking after the 2-3 divisions of the NCUI. First, when we talk about the cooperatives, already you have learned about the cooperative model of enterprise or cooperative model in India. So what is the cooperative actually? Cooperative is based on a legislation, right? That legislation here, it's in three parts. If we say there are three types of legislation in India. We have states. I said there are 28 states and union territories, 6. So cooperative being a state subject, every state has enacted their own cooperative act or legislation. But that is, they do not do it at random. There is a model act. On the basis, every state formulate their own cooperative societies act. Right? And this state cooperative societies act, where a cooperative want to work in particular state, then they have to register under the State Cooperative Societies Act. For example, New Delhi. New Delhi, if any cooperative society wants to work only in New Delhi, or some people want to establish a cooperative society in New Delhi and wants to work only in New Delhi area, they have to register under the State Cooperative Societies Act. That is Delhi State Cooperative Societies Act, right? Then there is another act called Mutually Aided Cooperative Societies Act, right? This act is what is the difference between the State Cooperative Societies Act and Mutually Aided Cooperative? Both are in the state, but in the State Cooperative Societies Act, if anyone want to register and if they want any government share capital, that provision is available. Means if you want to take any government help or assistance, then you go for the State Cooperative Societies Act. Whereas if any cooperatives wants to be self-reliant without any support, financial support of the government, then they can register under the Mutually Aided Cooperative Societies Act, where there will be a minimum interference from the government. So that's why this act is called as a parallel act or self-reliant cooperative act. So these are in the two act in the states. Now, there is another act called Multi-State Cooperative Society. The name itself depicts that if a cooperative wants to work in more than one state or in more than one province, then they have to register under this Multi-State Cooperative Societies Act. Right? I repeat again, if a particular cooperative who wants to work in more than one state or province, they have to register under the Multi-State Cooperative Societies Act. And this Multi-State Cooperative Societies Act or legislation, it is prepared by the central government or the union government. And this is governed by the central government, but you are a self-reliant society and you can work at your own. So these are the main three acts prevalent for the cooperatives in India. Means any cooperatives wants to work in India, or if people want to establish a cooperative, they have to establish under these any three act or legislations. Then this is the evolution. Since you were talking about the status and overview, how the cooperative started in India. It was 1904 when, and I understand that there are many participants there from agriculture background, and many organizations of ARDO are Ministry of Agriculture or Ministry of Rural Development. So in India, and earlier it was nearly in 1900 or around, the people used to take money from the landlords to do their farming and other purposes. So just to end the monopoly of these landlords, the first cooperative society, first cooperative enactment or legislation came with the Cooperative Credit Societies Act in 1904. On this act, there was a provision to provide credit for the agricultural purposes, right? Now, it was time and again changes in 2000, only credit and non-credit cooperative societies are also included, like marketing societies or many other housing societies. These are all enacted. And in 1919, the cooperation is declared as a state subject. And that's why the states were given permission to formulate their own enactment. Why such? Because India is a big country and our demography is changed in every 20 kilometers or 30 kilometers. So there is a purpose that every state must have incorporated their socio-economic conditions, and then accordingly they formulated their cooperative legislation. So that's why 1919 cooperatives was declared as the provincial or state subjects. Then in 1942, so it was seen that some cooperatives want to work in other states also, like business. If want to work in one place, they want to do business in others. So they cannot do it. And that's why in 1942, this Multi-Unit Cooperative Societies Act was incorporated to enable those cooperatives to work in other states or provinces. So then it was again changed in 1984. And very recently, in this August 2023, this Multi-State Cooperative Societies laws was amended, and the act and according to the rules was also framed, which is as follows for the multi-state cooperative society. And there are around 1,500 multi-state cooperative societies in India whose area of operation is more than one state. And besides, there are many societies. There are many societies who work in the particular state only. I'll give you the figure later on. And then how is the structure of cooperatives, organization structure? In India, the grassroots level cooperatives are called the primary level cooperative societies. There, only the individual member, like X, Y, Z, can be a member of this society, right? And then at the primary level, they are federated into district level. District level, what? District level, most of these primary societies, they are the members of the district unions. And the district unions are federated into the state cooperative unions or state cooperative federations. And then next level is the national level cooperative federations. So these are the four-star structure of cooperatives in India: primary, district, state or provincial level, then national level. And in this flow chart, you will be able to very clearly indicate how this cooperative movement structure and how this federated. And if you say at the bottom, all primary levels, all types of cooperatives, including the multi-state cooperative societies, they are at the bottom of the grassroots. Then they are at the district level. We have in the left side, you see district cooperative union. On the right side, you can see the district cooperative federations or banks. Then they are federated either the state cooperative unions or federation of multi-state or state level cooperative federation or banks. Now, the state level, they are then federated into national level, and then National Cooperative Union of India. It is the national apex organization of all cooperatives in India where I am working. And this is called, like, you can call it like a confederation of all cooperatives in India, right? So this is the structure of cooperative movement in India. And if you see the cooperatives, why this? If it's from the top, if you see the NCUI, I told you, this is the apex body. Then national level, we have various categories. We have fertilizer cooperatives. There are two important names, IFCO and CRIFCO. Then we have agriculture or rural credit. There are two types of agricultural rural credit. One is the medium and short-term credit, and one is the long-term credit. Medium and short-term, what they do? They are generally helpful for this short-term credit, like for implements, purchasing of seeds, or sowing time. But this long-term is credit, basically investment credit, where you want to biggest tractor or big implements, or you want to establish some big processing factory. For that, this is long-term credit structure. So this, and in the right side there, you see that urban credit. I have given a NAFCA. I'm not giving you the detail, the name. These are the organization name. The structure is that in credit, we have a rural credit and urban credit. Rural credit, we have two types. they cater the needs of the credit in the rural area. What is urban credit? They provide the credit for the urban areas. Besides, these are the two credit. Besides, there are non-credit societies like agricultural marketing. Their apex body at the national level is NAFED. Then we have consumers. Then we have sugar. Then dairy, housing, labor, fisheries, and many other cooperatives. And similarly, they have the structure at the state level in all these categories. And then in the down level, district levels, and then at the last, primary levels. Marketing society or primary multipurpose cooperative society or PACS. PACS is what primary agricultural credit societies, PACS. PACS is a very common name in India. Most of the primary agricultural credit society people in the short form they known as PACS, right? So these are the whole structure of cooperative movement in India. Now, if you see the numbers, you people must be eager to know what are the numbers. So these are the numbers I've just compiled in a form. In total, if you see in the down, there are 854,355 cooperatives in India. That figure we have compiled in 2018. Now, the latest figure will be coming in the end of this year. We have some compiled with the ministry. So the figure will be, but this is the, so far, this is the figure available with all of us. 8.5 means 854, and you can see the distributions. There are two types, credits and non-credit, right? Non-credit cooperative around 79% and credit cooperatives around 21%. And these are the total number. If you see, there are marketing maximum, you can say 151,000. The dairy cooperatives, a huge number. In total cooperative was 17%. Then a big number is the housing. Housing cooperatives is also 152,000. They are also around 17.8%. So they are the two big numbers. Besides, we have labor, also big number, 46,000. Then fisheries also 23,000. Agro processing 29,000. And these are the some figures which is given for the whole cooperatives in India. So total number is nearly more than 800, of which we say that there are nearly, you can say that 10 to 15% are not working properly, and around 5% are almost defunct societies. So more or less, we can say around 8 lakh cooperative society, 800,000 cooperative societies in India in all together. Again, this number I have just bifurcated. This is the number. And if you see the membership, how many peoples are associated with the cooperative movement in India? If you see the down, total memberships of cooperatives in India, 290.06 million. If you see the country's population is nearly 1400 million. So 290 millions are associated with the cooperative movement. So that's why we say around out of every 5 persons in India are directly or indirectly associated with the cooperative. Just I'm sorry that line is omitted during this editing. 1 out of every 5 persons in India is directly or indirectly associated with the cooperative movement. That is the benchmark, you can say. And now, how cooperatives work in the national economy? You must be, there are a huge number of cooperatives and a lot of people are involved in cooperative movement. Then how we're placed in the national economy? Even rural network, if you say the whole country, 90% of the rural network covered by the cooperatives. It means nearly every village or every part of India, there is one cooperative society exists, and they are giving services to the rural people. But agricultural credit, as much as disbursed by the cooperatives, out of the total agricultural credit disbursed in India. It is 13.4%, but now gradually it is in increasing trend. Like fertilizer production, nearly 1/3 of the country's fertilizer produced by the cooperatives in India. Sugar, nearly 30% sugar production through cooperatives out of the total sugar production in India. And liquid milk market, it is a huge, nearly 85%. So means most of the liquid milk marketed, that is by the cooperatives. And that's why I said there are very huge number of dairy cooperative societies in India. And primary agricultural credit society, that is one of the main, they mean the storage. 55%, more than 50% of the storage of mainly agricultural or food grain storage is done by this primary society. They have a good warehouse systems in India, and they are with nearly 55%. Then fishermen are 20%, wheat 13%. These are the some figures. And direct employment generated by cooperatives, nearly 13% of the total employment generation in India. Ravi sir, how much time do you have now? Yeah, unmute, please. Unmute, please.
5 minutes, 5 minutes, because next faculty is waiting.
Okay, just I'll finish it, because just I'll finish it. Now, as you must be knowing that earlier there was one department who was working with the cooperatives in India at the central government. Now, there is a Ministry of Cooperation has been formed 2 years back on 6th July 2021, and they are with the main objective is prosperity through cooperation and how to strengthen the cooperative movement and deepening its reach to the grassroots. And that for that, there are many activities which is being undertaken by ministry, many initiatives, including the policy, legal and institutional framework, as well as education and training would focus on cooperative education, training, research and extension. Since persons from ministry will be also coming for a lecture, and he or she will share about the various initiatives taken after the formation of the new ministry. And we are very closely working with the new ministry. And what is the developmental role? The Ministry of Cooperation was established 2 years back with an expectation to make the difference of life of the millions of poor in India with its large developmental role and strategic vision. So I'm not going to the detail. Like now, as I said, the government's role, it was defined in the National Development Council way back in 1958 with two main focus. One is the cooperative education and training, and one to encourage the cooperative business model. Already you have learned about the cooperative business models in our earlier session taken by Dr. Ravi sir. So, and this national cooperative policy, which was made in 2002, now it is under the final stage. In 2023, the new national policy is coming with focus on cooperative education and to reduce the regional imbalances, to give autonomy, and there are many other things for the social inclusions. I skipped this slide, but just I wanted to let you know how the cooperative education and training structure, because cooperatives, as I told, there are two types of cooperatives, one under the state cooperatives and the multi-state cooperatives. But in India, there is a provision of that the cooperative societies, which is the business, and they earn profit, they have to give a certain percentage of their earning as profit to the cooperative education fund. That is at the state level also, and that is at the central level also. And that fund is used for the various cooperative educational activities, as well as various cooperative training and extension activities. There is another organization in India called National Cooperative Development Corporation. See, one is the human resource development, that is the education and training component. Now, if a cooperative want to do business and they want to do some financial support, so that's why this organization, it's a government statutory body, National Cooperative Development Corporation. They provide and promote and finance for the economic activities for cooperative, for production, processing, marketing, storage, export and import of food produce and industrial goods. They also provide for the expansion of factories, modernization, etc. So these are organizations. I understand someone from NCDC will be also taking some session, full details. Now, the organization which I come is a national cooperative union, the apex body. We have 3 types of members only: national federation 70, state level, and multi-state. No district and primary are the members of NCUI. And our objective is basically to promote and develop the cooperative education and training activities and popularize the cooperative practices and principle in the country. And also we provide our expert opinion on the policy, legislation, and other issues at national and international level. This is our management structure, general body. The general body comprised of all the members, and then general body elects the governing council, which we call a board of directors. Then there is a smaller committee. Then governing council elects the president, and chief executive is appointed by the governing council. So these are some important activities we do it every year. The International Day of Cooperatives, which is celebrated on the first Saturday of July every year. And every year we organize a big program in India to celebrate the International Day of Cooperatives. Then we organize zonal conference. We have divided the country into 6 zones, and 6 zones we have organized zonal conference to discuss the challenges and policy issues. Right. And then we organize a very prestigious lecture in the name of Vaikunt Bhai Mehta. The institute which you are collaborating is Vamnicom. So it's the Vaikunt Mehta Memorial Lecture, and we called it dignified. Even Vice President of our country, he was one of the person who delivered this lecture. Then recently we have organized a cooperative congress, National Cooperative Congress. It was commemorative with the last 1st July, means International Cooperative Day, and Honorable Prime Minister of India who inaugurated this conference in New Delhi for the G20 summit. And we are the first, NCUI was the first organization which did the program in this venue, which was kindly inaugurated by Honorable Prime Minister of India. Now, on this platform, Honorable Prime Minister has inaugurated 2 things, 2 important websites of NCUI launch. One is the e-commerce platform. What is the e-commerce platform? Which is the first in the country, the e-commerce platform for promoting the cooperatives products. And you can see the link there in the down below, ncuyheart.co.in. You can click there and go to, or you can download from the Play Store, NCUI Heart, NCUYHAAT. You can download that and you can find a lot of products in there, and you can purchase online. And we have joined hand with Nitcon, and for the logistic, we are taking an ethics group to support us. It's a new initiative which was just recently inaugurated by Honorable Prime Minister on 1st July. Then we have one more thing the Honorable Prime Minister launched is the Cooperative Extension and Advisory Portal, or you can call it LMS, Learning Management System. And the link I have shared in the below, ncui.gov.edu.in. There you can go and you can get about self-learning on the cooperatives in India. It's basically LMS and Cooperative Resource Center. Besides, recently we have established a National Cooperative Resource Center where we are developing cooperative modules. We have 12 very specific sectoral module and 8 very generic module, of which 2 have already we have published. In these 2, you can see a training module and members role in cooperative and training module in cooperative. You can go to any e-commerce website, Amazon, and you can get these books. And now there are 2 more on the publication within the next week. And similarly, we are going to publish 1 by 1 20 generic modules. Besides, we do some research for the government. There are some studies we have completed, some ongoing studies we are doing. And since the paucity of time, I complete my presentation here. If you have any questions, you can put up before me, or you can put before Ravi sir. You can forward it, and I will be very happy to answer these questions.
Sir, we have created a group. They will sending the queries. We will send it to you for clarification, and then we will share it.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you very much. On behalf
thank you.
It
was nice to interact with all of you on this online platform. Thank you, Ravi sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I take leave. Huh?
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you. So, Mr. Ridesh Day sir has briefed about the state, that agricultural credit aspect also. So under that, there are three aspects are there. Primary agricultural society, district level, there is a district central cooperative bank, and there is a state cooperative bank is there in that each state. And these are all financed by a bank that is called NABARD, National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. For discussing about this financial aspect, we have requested NABARD Pune office to help us, and they have deputed Rashmi Madam she's a General Manager Cadre Officer in National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. I request Madam to interact with our group and brief about what are the activities you have supporting for the cooperative movement, Madam. Over to Rashmi Madam.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Ravi sir, for giving me this opportunity to speak on the VAMNICOM platform. A hearty welcome to all the delegates from various countries who have joined. This is really a privilege to be able to speak to so many people from different countries and present to you what NABARD is doing in this space of agriculture financing and generally what agricultural financing is in India. So I will just start with a PPT. So it will just help us to guide the discussion. Latest in.
Yeah. Yes, madam.
Am I audible?
Yes, madam.
Yeah. Okay. So since we are talking about agriculture financing, we need to really understand what agriculture means to our country. And it's very heartening to note that agriculture in the last 4 to 5 years, generally it has always been having a positive growth trend. And even during the last 5 years, out of which at least 2 years were impacted by COVID, agriculture was the only shining star in the economy, and it registered a compound annual growth rate of 4%. Today, our food grain production is 330.5 million tons, which is there to feed about 18% of the population which lives, world population which lives in our country, that is India. And another important aspect I would like to highlight is that nearly 55% of the workforce is engaged in agriculture. Another very typical characteristic of agriculture in India, and I think in many parts of Asia and Africa also, would be small and marginal farmers. And in India, we have land holdings which are less than 2 hectares, most of them less than 1 hectare also, in fact. So that constitutes about 86%. So we are talking about financing small and marginal farmers. These are people with small means and not necessarily having access to finance or formal finance very easily. At least that was the scenario some time ago, but no more. I'll let you know further what it is. So we have about 140 million land holdings, and we have a cropping intensity of 142%. The land net sown area is 139.3 million hectares, and about 42% is sown more than 2 or 3 times. And that's how our gross cropped area is 197.3 million hectares. So this is basically what very, very, very broadly what Indian agriculture is today as on date. And if we go to the what is agriculture credit. So here you will see that our ground level credit, we use this term GLC, and I might use it a little more in the presentation. So what this ground level credit from institutional sources, it measures to nearly 261 billion. And it is showing a growth rate of 18.3% over the previous year. And every year, nearly 15%. The compound annual growth rate on an average is 15% in the last 4 years, as you can see, as I have mentioned. Agriculture contributes, agriculture GVA is about 15.1% to the economy. And another important aspect, which I mentioned, that agriculture credit. Now, you know that when there are small and marginal farmers, the it used to be at one point of time informal credit, as Mr. Day was explaining in the earlier presentation, that how the cooperative sector came into being, and that is how the formal credit was introduced, in fact. So there was a time when formal credit would have been only 20 to 30%, and the rest was totally at the hands of money lenders or at, with friends, family, and basically usurious lending and borrowing at higher costs, trading of your ornaments. There were so many things that happened. But today, 69% is coming through institutional credit, and how it comes, we will see in the next slides. This small and marginal farmers, which I mentioned in the previous slide, which is 86% of our farming community, they are, in the entire credit that is pervaded through all these banks, 57% of the total credit goes to them, and 77% of the accounts on an average. So if there are 100 accounts, at least 77 accounts are of small and marginal farmers. So this is also mandated by Reserve Bank of India, that maximum lending has to take place to small and marginal farmers. So this also we will see later, that why it is mandated. The formal credit, formal financial credit structure in India, it comprises of commercial banks, which are actually public sector commercial banks owned by the Government of India. There are some private sector banks also. Then there are regional rural banks. Now, I think I should explain what regional rural banks are over here at this juncture. So they are sponsored by commercial banks, and there is at least one regional rural bank, at least one in each state, and it has the working and functioning of a commercial bank with a rural and local feel. So it deals with and it pervades and provides services to the small and marginal farmers and the lower strata of the community, which are actually small borrowers, maybe small depositors. So they have a kind of local feel. They are restricted to one state and or part of a state. Like, for example, larger states like Maharashtra, they have 2 RRBs. Regional rural banks are called RRBs. So in other states, Uttarakhand has only 1. And then the third and most important financing agency that we are discussing today is cooperative banks, which has been explained in detail in the previous presentation. Apart from this, we also have NBFCs, that is non-banking financial companies, and commercial banks can lend to non-banking financial companies, whereas NBFCs, they on lend to the farmers. So that is another model, but basically they are also financed through commercial banks. So if you say commercial banks, RRBs and cooperatives, they pretty much cover the entire agriculture financing in the country. Next. Just to give you an idea that what is the amount, like we just discussed, 26 to 61 billion USD is the ground level credit in 22-23. Our year ends in March 23, so 31 March 23 to 61 billion USD was the disbursement, and the share of commercial banks obviously is huge. That is about 74%, 75%. They have a huge penetration in the entire country. If you take the biggest bank, that is State Bank of India, more than 50,000 branches they have. Then we have regional rural banks, and we have cooperative banks, which about 14,000 branches. Here I would just draw your attention to the bifurcation of crop loan and term loan. What is crop loan was discussed in the last presentation, but I will just highlight. These are short-term loans, period of 1 year, 12 months. It is based on seasonality of the crop. So if a crop is like we call Kharif, then Kharif is not exactly a summer crop, but it is a cash crop, and it starts in April to September. So it is for 6 months. And we have a winter crop, that is Rabi, that would start in October. We have a summer crop also, maybe somewhere in March, February, March, April. So based on these seasonalities, in the beginning of the year, a credit limit is decided, and the crop loan is given to the farmer in a very scientific way, in the sense that for each crop, the value of the loan would be different. It depends on the crop, the production, and a scale of finance which is decided based on the seeds, fertilizers, labor, all these things. So this is the short-term loan and term loan. And there is the term loan, or which is given for a period of 5 to 7 years or 3 to 7 years. It serves the allied sector, animal husbandry, or investment credit, basically for purchase of animals or tractors, or for plantations, land development. For these kind of activities, basically term loan is given. So the ratio is normally 60-40, more of crop loan and less of the term loan. We'll go to the next slide. Actually, this is a very big area which I have just tried to compress in one slide. This is basically the framework in which India operates its agriculture credit, or I would say, yes, agriculture credit. The first thing that I would like my viewers to understand is that there is something like a priority sector that has been defined by Reserve Bank of India. So there was a time when these commercial banks were lending to all the to their clients, and as you know, banks lend based on collateral, and there is a propensity to lend to the more able customer. So Reserve Bank of India mandated that 40% of the outstanding bank credit in a year, at least in a very simple term, I would say outstanding bank credit, it is adjusted net bank credit, which I will not explain over here, but basically to understand, 40% of the bank credit of the previous year has to be lent by a bank to priority sectors. Now, priority sectors are those sectors which actually need the credit for them to grow and flourish, and which actually serve the economy of the country also. So one of them is agriculture. For agriculture, it is mandated that at least 18% of the bank credit outstanding has to go to agriculture. Similarly, MSME, export, education, housing, renewable energy, lending to weaker sections, these are all areas which have been identified by Reserve Bank of India. So for commercial banks, it's 40%, but if for regional rural banks, and there is a category called small finance banks. Now, small finance banks are also commercial banks, but they are not public sector banks. So there, they have to lend at least 75%. 75% of their credit has to go to this priority sector. This is mandated. What if they don't do? So if they are not able to do it, the equivalent of the amount which they were not able to lend, they have to deposit with Reserve Bank of India. And this deposit is then distributed by Reserve Bank of India to other institutions for developing focus areas. Like, for example, there is some amount that comes to a fund to NABARD, which is given for rural infrastructure development. Some amount goes to other DFIs. So Reserve Bank ensures that at least 40% of the bank's outstanding are reinvested in priorities areas, as I indicated. Another important thing that happened in 1969 and 1980 was nationalization of banks. The whole idea of nationalizing banks was that if banks are nationalized, then we can direct the flow of credit to these areas. So in 1969, about 14 banks were nationalized and 7 banks were nationalized in 1980. And today again, some banks have been amalgamated, and today we have 12 commercial banks, public sector banks. So this was an important step. And in the very same year, Reserve Bank came out with the concept of lead bank scheme. Now, what is a lead bank scheme? Lead bank scheme, it actually deals with one important aspect, that a district in a state. So I think I should explain the state, as again, Day sir has helped me in the previous presentation. He has explained that there are 28 states or provinces in the country, and inside each state, there could be various administrative units, and they are called districts. So, like for example, there are about 753 districts in these 28 states of India. Now, what happens is that under the lead bank scheme, the district becomes the unit of planning. So an annual action plan, annual credit plan is made at the district level, and that is decided by the lead bank, which is there in the district. And he decides, and there is a lead district manager, and he decides what can be, in a consultative manner, what can be the disbursement that can take place in a district. I would like to mention here that NABARD also prepares a very important document which is useful for district development planning, and that is called the Potential Linked Credit Plan. This document actually assesses the potential for disbursement. So various factors are taken into account. What is the land holding in the district? What is the scale of finance for each crop? What is the cropping intensity in the district? How much water resources are available? What is the government policy in that state, whether it is supporting some activity or not? So like that, they prepare for their district potential linked credit plan. This becomes the basis for creation of an annual credit plan for the district. And for example, if I take the state of Maharashtra, there are 36 districts here. Now each district will prepare an annual credit plan. This will be consolidated at the state level, and we would prepare a state level annual credit plan. And now that becomes a measurable document and a reference document for achieving targets under various priority sector areas, which I have mentioned above, like agriculture, MSME, export, then how much is going for crop loan, how much is going for term loan. So this document is a very important document. It's a guiding document for the state, and the entire monitoring that takes place at this level. So there are three levels or three forums under the lead bank scheme. So there is a lead bank at the state level, and there are so many other lead banks at the district level. So various meetings are held every quarter at the district level. The issues and the review of the plans are sent to the state level. These are consolidated, and at the state level, the state level bankers committee meeting takes place, which is attended by none other than the chief secretary of the state administration. So in short, I would just like to say that the SLBC is a very important forum which brings together the state administration, the civil administration of the state, the Reserve Bank of India, NABARD, and all the banks that are functioning in the ground level. When I say state government, it includes the state government departments in each of the districts. So since this time is short, this could have been an interesting discussion later on. But please try and understand that one is, Reserve Bank decides that what is a priority sector for lending. Second, it tells you how to lend through the lead bank scheme. So you have a planning process, and you arrive at a target, and then lend. So this ensures that there is directed flow of credit to these sectors. Next slide. The role of cooperatives is very important in agriculture. I would like to focus more because I think this program is for basically for agri-business through cooperative business model. So we can focus more on cooperatives. Like Mr. Day mentioned in the previous lecture, there are state cooperative banks at the state level. There are district central cooperative banks at the district level and primary agriculture cooperative societies. So this is a federated structure. So each state has a state cooperative bank. Under that, there are DCCBs who are working, and then there are PACs. So the state cooperative banks is the apex bank. It is a higher financing agency basically. It finances or refinances to the DCCBs and PACs below them. And the entire development of the short-term credit structure is dependent on the state cooperative bank. The DCCBs have a dual role to play at the district level. So DCCB is also a bank, proper bank. They are present at the district level and they can collect deposits and lend to members of the public. They can function as an independent bank. This is their role. But nurturing the primary agriculture cooperative societies which are affiliated to them is the role of the DCCB also. So what are these primary agriculture cooperative societies? So there has been a detailed discussion in the previous lecture about primary agriculture cooperative societies, which we call PACs basically. Now, these are very important institutions. They are present at almost every village, and it is expected that almost every member of the every family should have one member at the PACs level. And these are member-driven organizations. So the PACs can collect. So another thing I want to make clear, PACs are not banks. State Cooperative Bank is a bank, District Central Cooperative Bank is a bank, PACs is a society. And the PACs is affiliated to the DCCB. But therefore, they can collect deposits, but only from their members. They can only collect deposits from their members. They can finance, they finance to their members. So basically, it helps to develop the community for taking care of their financial needs. We spoke about short-term credit some time back. The short-term credit requirement of each farmer is actually assessed by the PACs. And there is a normal credit limit statement, and there is a secretary in the PACs, and he knows everybody in the village. If not by name, at least by face, he knows them. He knows who's having what land. This is because he has been there for so long. So the demand for the credit, demand for loan is collected, consolidated, sent to the District Central Cooperative Bank from where funds are received, and then it is financed. So this is basically to understand that what is the role of the PACs. And there were 93,000 PACs, but today we consider that there will be 63,000 viable PACs. That means they are functional. They have their own building, they have a secretary to man them, and they are doing business. The others probably may be defunct. This number is important. It will come up later also. Next slide. So what are the activities of PACs? Like Sahakar Se Samruddhi, that is prosperity coming from cooperation. That is the new mantra that India is now following in the last 2 years, after the Ministry of Cooperation has been set up at the central level. As mentioned earlier, this cooperation is a state subject, but there is now a ministry at the central level also, and it is now very well accepted and understood that strengthening the grassroots level organizations like PACs is most important to ensure that the benefits of the economy reach to the last mile and to the last person. So in order to encourage this transformation, in the PACs, so basically what should happen, the PACs should they are already doing borrowing, they are already doing deposit collection and lending for their members. So what else can they do? What are the other services that they can provide to their members so that the village becomes self-contained? One, the members get the services at their doorstep, within the village. That is the second thing. And third thing, the packs themselves become vibrant member-driven organizations and profit-making also. So recently, the government of India has devised the new model bylaws, and all the states have adopted it and are in the process of adopting the model bylaws. Now, these bylaws are slightly changed from what they were earlier, and more flexible to enable the packs to take up more businesses. Now, packs were already into agriculture, they were into dairy financing, fisheries, but they can also set up godowns, because packs are now financing to farmers. So the collection and aggregation of food grain can happen at packs level. And if a godown is set over there and that is connected to the various markets, it can be very beneficial. So they can do that. They can go into LPG, that is liquid petroleum gas, petrol pumps. Then there is something like common service center, which to provide various government services. They can act as common service center. So these are various activities that can be taken up under this initiative of self-reliant India, that is Atmanirbhar Bharat. And so that is why these activities have been indicated over there. Now, where financing comes into the picture, what else can packs do? Now, under the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative, that is which came up in on 20th May 2020, Government of India had a huge package of USD 241 billion under this package, and about 12 USD billion was allocated to a scheme called Agri Infrastructure Fund. Now, what happens is that we give loans for crop production, but there are huge post-harvest losses, and there is a loss to the income of the farmers. Now, we are talking about small and marginal farmers who do not have the means to actually go far, market their products. So they generally do either use part of it for consumption, and the rest is not exactly a distress sale, but definitely not a desirable sale. They would sell it at whatever price they get. So whether we can create post-harvest storage, marketing, logistics, cold storage, for these kind of things, AIF was a fund that was created. It is purveyed through banks. For cooperative banks, it is purveyed through NABARD. If the loan by the cooperative bank, that is the DCCB, is given at 9%, then 3% is the interest subvention which comes from Government of India. So really the loan to the DCCB comes to only 6%. To further augment this activity, what NABARD has done is we have created a separate product, a refinance product. So we call it packs to MSC, that is packs converted to multi-state cooperative societies. If these activities covered under Agriculture Infrastructure Fund are eligible, then we provide a refinance at the rate of just 4%. So basically the interest, the subvented interest to the DCCB is further reduced because their liquidity is increased, and they get a loan at 4%. So this is what is the support under AIF and in NABARD and given by NABARD for packs to MSC. Next. PACS computerization is the second initiative under Atmanirbhar Bharat. And here, these 63,000 PACS which have been identified and all over the country. So the idea is that if you want the PACS to become multi-service societies, you want to enable diversification of activities at the ground level, then these PACS should be computerized. Right now, they are working in the manual system. So now let me tell you that the district central cooperative banks also were not on core banking system till 2013. In 2013, again, NABARD had taken an initiative to bring the DCCBs on CBS. Government of India mandated that all the DCCBs should be on CBS, and about 200 DCCBs out of the 351 that exist had come on the CBS platform with the help of NABARD, facilitated by NABARD. So you see, you have state cooperative banks which are computerized, and you have DCCBs which are computerized. Now, if you have the PACs which are actually financed by the DCCBs, if these are also computerized and digitized, the system would be, the entire chain would be digitized, and it would bring in more transparency and efficiency in the system. So today we have taken up digitization of 63,000 PACs, and we hope to complete this digitization by, I would not call it digitization. In fact, it is computerization, because this thing is going to be on a ERP platform actually. So because of the various activities. So by 2024, all the PACs will be computerized, and Government of India has mandated that 2 lakh or 200,000 more new PACs have to be set up in those kind of villages where there are no PACs. And these would be mainly in fisheries and dairy, because you see, dairy and fishery are allied activities which can be taken up along with agriculture very easily. In fact, this is a concept which we are promoting very highly, and we are requesting banks that you should develop products to finance for integrated farming. What is integrated farming is mainly agriculture, along with that some dairy activity or some horticulture or some vermicomposting, these kind of activities, so that there are various income streams to the farmer which from these various activities, and he is not left high and dry if there is a famine or if there is a crop loss due to any reason. Today there are so many climate changes and climate extreme events which are happening and affecting different parts of the country. So for this reason, I think the idea of increasing the number of PACs at the ground level, being very good, vibrant, member driven organization, is the vision of the Government of India, and which is going to be operationalized and implemented till 2026-27. This is the second initiative, and there is a third initiative next from Government of India, which is again being implemented. So I didn't mention, but PACs computerization is also, there are various can you go to previous slide? So in PACs computerization also, there are various stakeholders. It's Government of India who is extending the funds for the project. NABARD is facilitating this project, and it is the state governments who are playing a very vital role in ensuring that the project is implemented in a orderly manner. So this is basically it. And next. World's largest grain storage bank. Now here, this is again a very interesting project. What happens is that now, as I mentioned earlier, our grain production is about 330 metric million tons, and our storage capacity is only 145 million metric tons. So to increase the storage by at least about 70 MMT, it has been decided that at least 2,000 PACs will set up grain storage warehouses at their locations. So those PACs which own land or where land is available, they will be taking up this activity. And this work has also started in real earnest all over the country. And so obviously, since it is an activity where there will be some investment required from the PACs as well as the DCCBs, so we took out viable PACs who are in profit and who would be able to take up this activity. So this decentralized storage capacity would be developed, and the greater, greater idea or the greater plan is that they will be actually getting into procurement and storage and linking with the warehouses at the state level and with FCI. So this work has already been started in most of the, at least one PACs in every state at this point of time, as we discuss. Next. So now, how can the PACs increase their business? So there are various activities, as I just mentioned, which have been identified, which the PACs can. It is actually, they can take up literally any activity which benefits their members. So at the moment, post-harvest marketing activities, ancillary services, for creation of storage and processing facilities, custom hiring centers, collective purchase of inputs. These are the major activities that are being identified. And as I mentioned earlier, building of storage warehouses, that is one activity which definitely PACs can take, because they can do the aggregation of the crops at their level. This can then further be linked to the APMCs, that is the Agriculture Produce Marketing Committees, which are available at taluka levels. And if the small warehouses which are available at the PACs, if they are linked to these APMCs, then there can be a hub and spoke model, and the produce can be sold at the bigger markets, and you can have better price discovery over there. And if necessary, we can even hold the crops. There is accreditation with the Warehouse Development Regulatory Authority in India, that is WDRA. And if the warehouses which are there at the PACs level, if they meet the scientific storage needs which are prescribed by WDRA, then they can be linked over there. And there is something called ENWR, that is negotiable warehouse receipt. So a farmer who keeps his produce in the identified warehouse that is accredited by the WDRA, then the warehouse can issue him a warehouse receipt saying that, okay, this is your your crops which are there. You take this receipt, and against this he can get a post-harvest finance from the banks, very simply put. So you see, creating this warehouse at the grassroots level is going to actually help increase more finance in agriculture. Then these can also, if they are of that level, they can also register on commodity exchange. That is not very futuristic. Some PACs and some collectives are already doing it. Next. So I think this is some repetition I have already mentioned earlier. I have also explained what is Common Service Center. Nearly 300 activities can be given. Common Service Center is birth certificate, death certificate. We have Aadhaar, that is the unique identification number in India, that is called Aadhaar. So change of address in Aadhaar, or creating somebody's Aadhaar, new child, baby, or after death, change, mutation. So these kind of things can be done. There are various services which can be done at the Common Service Center. And if you just imagine, if it is set up at the PACs level, where everybody knows the PAC secretary and they have that comfort to reach there, how easily these services can be pervaded to the entire population of the village. So these are some of the points I wanted to mention. Last one, I would just say onboarding of cooperative society as buyer on GEM. There is a government e-marketing portal. So as government agencies, we have to buy everything from the government e-marketing portal, and the sellers over there are small MSMEs. So this really helps the MSME, and also it helps a very transparent procurement process for government organizations and banks. So now we are also expecting that the PACs for their needs should also, onboard to GEM at a later date to access the market. Okay, next. How is the agriculture financing actually taken place? Now, we have spoken about banks, and we know that what is the proportion of finance going through the various organizations. We have seen PACs, how they are functioning, how they are member-driven organizations, and also how they are aggregating the demand for credit from their members and posing it to the DCCB, that is the District Central Cooperative Bank, which in turn finances. But a product which we need to understand at the district, at the grassroots level, is called Kisan Credit Card. Kisan in Hindi means farmer. So there is a credit card which is given. Now, what happens that for crop loan, all the short-term lending, the banks actually assess the requirement of the farmer for the entire year, and they sanction a credit limit. Banks also nowadays give a Rupee Kisan card, that is a credit card, basically, which can be swiped at any ATM, and he can withdraw the money at his convenience. So this is a KCC which is given. Today, there are 73 million KCCs which are operative in India. And the government of India also gives an interest subvention to these banks. Interest subvention to banks for financing. Now, I'll just give a little background. Now, financing for crop loan, it has been assessed at 9% in India. That 9% would be some, the cost. So, what banks are being told is you lend at 7%. So government of India will give an interest subvention of 2%. So right now they have reduced the subvention, it is 1.5. So that way the bank is subvented, so they are not at loss, they can lend at 7%. The farmer gets a crop loan at 7%. If he repays on time, within time, he gets an interest incentive of 3%. So finally, if a borrower is repaying on time, he is getting only at 4%. So this modified interest subvention scheme is there, and very soon it is, in fact, it is already on the portal and it is going to be digitized completely. And you will be very happy to know that the interest subvention from Government of India will be passed through the public financial management system, that is the PFMS, and directly, no manual intervention. It will go straight from the Government of India directly to the farmer, because our entire banking link from government to banking is completely digitized. So earlier it was going to the bank, then the bank was putting into the farmer's account, but now because of Aadhaar and because of their bank accounts, it will go directly there. Another concept to understand is a farmer producer organization. Now we had realized that individual farmers, small and marginal farmers, cannot actually achieve their objective or realize better prices. And we have been talking about doubling the farmers' income. So many things we have been doing. So the idea of farmer producer organizations was whether we can aggregate, can they become a company? So there are 2 or 3 variants of FPOs. They can either be registered as companies or they can be registered as societies. So if they are a company of 500 or 600, which is a good mass, then they are farmers, they are landowners. So aggregation, collection of grains, marketing can be collectivized, and they can get the economies of scale. Also, inputs, that is seeds or fertilizers, those kind of inputs which are required throughout the year, even that can be purchased by the farmer producer organization and given to its members. So this is one a new initiative which has come up in the last 10 to 15 years. And NABARD itself, we have promoted more than 7,000 farmer producer organizations in the country. And banks are extending working capital limits to the FPOs, that is the farmer producer organization, for taking up add-on activities. So the farmers of the FPO, they are getting KCC, they are getting production credit from the KCC. But the FPO as a collective, as a company or as a society, can access working capital from the banks for taking up further activities of marketing or storage, primary processing or secondary processing also. So this adds value and to the farmer's income. Other 2 methods of financing which I would like to indicate are, in fact, I have written joint liability group first, but I will take up self-help group first. So self-help groups are member-driven organizations only, but they are saving-led groups, and they are financed directly by banks. So it is a microfinance model of India, which is linked or financed directly by the mainstream banks of the country. We don't have a separate organization who are financing SHGs. We don't have any other separate bank for them. It is the same commercial bank, it is the same RRB or the cooperative bank which is financing self-help groups. And these are people who need microfinance, small amounts of credit. So in fact, as I mentioned earlier, they are saving-led groups. So they first, they are homogeneous groups, they come together and they establish a period of financial discipline, maybe 6 to 7 months, by making small savings collecting it themselves, keeping it in the bank, and rotating the same amount for financial, lending amongst themselves, and seeing their credit discipline only, banks further lend to them. So we mentioned earlier that 69% is going through formal credit in India, 69% of the credit, and it is also going through self-help groups. Self-help groups are also financed through the banks, and they could be lending even from their own resources, which is nothing but their own savings. Self-help group loans are collateral-free loans. There is no lending, no collateral given. It is in fact a unique model, which was again way back in 1992. It was propagated by NABARD, and the Reserve Bank of India made history in 1996 by allowing self-help groups who are unorganized groups. They don't have any legal entity as such, but recognizing them as grassroots level groups and allowing them to collect thrift and deposits, because the central bank will never allow any other organization to collect deposits. Only banks can collect deposits, but self-help groups were recognized. This is the strength of the movement of self-help groups, that they were permitted to collect savings, and banks were told, let them have their own way of functioning. There is no need to interfere too much over there. From this came the joint liability group. This is a concept borrowed from Bach, Thailand, actually, straight from there. And joint liability groups are a group of 5 people who provide joint liability as a security to their members. Now, these are mid-segment clients. They may not necessarily be taking for consumption loan or for small loan. They would require bigger amount of loan, and they would require for farming. So there are farmers in India who are landless laborers or landless farmers or tenant farmers. They may or may not get directly benefit from the KCC product, which I have indicated at number 1. So if they form joint liability groups, and they also are people who require higher amount of credit, but they do not have collateral. So what is the collateral? Is a joint liability. So this also needs to be a cohesive group, but the loan is taken for a economic activity. So here we have 26 million JLGs in the country, about 13.4 million self-help groups in the country. Next. So these were the financing models, and in India, I have taken, I think I'm taking too much time. I'll just close now. A little introduction of NABARD. We call ourselves the Development Bank of the Nation for fostering rural prosperity. That is our vision. Everything under rural development, whether it is agriculture development, financial, non-financial interventions, innovations, technology, institutional development, supervision, refinancing, climate change, these are all the activities that we take up. Go next slide. We have a presence all over the country. We have 31 regional offices. Our head office is in Mumbai. We have 4 training institutes. We have 7 subsidiaries. And you can see the 2 round clusters at the bottom that are called district offices. As I mentioned earlier, we have 753 districts in the country. We have 377 district offices that are district development managers. These are one-man offices, just one man. He's posted over there, and his job or her job is to liaise with the district administration in the district, facilitate with banks, and do purvey most of our development projects in the district. We have 29 cluster offices. These are nothing but groups, small district development offices, which look after 3 or 4 districts. Next. Our gamut of activities is very wide. I mentioned about credit planning and monitoring, that is PLP I mentioned earlier. Financing rural infrastructure through Rural Infrastructure Development Fund. That is also a major activity. Till date, we have lent $48 billion to the governments for financing unfinished infrastructure projects in the country. Then refinance to rural sector that I mentioned. Short-term refinance. Now our refinance in the short term is as high as 91, no? How much was it? 164 USD. But we give refinance to the cooperative banks and to the RRBs only. And there it is about 19 billion USD dollars. And long term is 13 billion USD. This is the amount, and this is all, most of it, 80% of it is from market borrowings, which we access from the market at low cost and we lend further to the banks. Supporting rural livelihoods, climate change. There are various, you might have heard of watershed development program, which is again a major program in the country, which was started by NABARD. Some 3,600 watershed development programs are there. We have supervision of DCCBs and in the cooperatives and the RRBs is a responsibility which is with NABARD. Regulation is with Reserve Bank of India, but supervision of these institutions is with NABARD. Strengthening rural financial institutions like this training of cooperatives, training of PACs, infrastructure development, support for infrastructure. This is all given by us. Financial inclusion is a very big area where we play a major role. In fact, with computerization of DCCBs, various hand-holding the DCCBs, providing grant assistance to the rural financial institutions is also one of our roles. So I'll just leave it at that because this can be a part of another lecture. And last but not the least, I would like to next draw your attention to one of the subsidiaries, that is NAPCONS, NABARD Consultancy Services, and which is functioning in India. And we have projects abroad also, and we have participated in nearly 30 to 40 countries. We have taken up projects in different places. We can take up everything from surveys to DPR to project formulation, implementation, post implementation studies, impact studies, you name it, and we are into these activities. So with this, I would just like to close my speech. I'm sorry if I have taken a little extra time. But this was the gamut of the thing. If there are any questions, you can please share with me. I will definitely try to answer. Yeah, whether we are.
Please, Dr. Ravi, please unmute yourself.
Thank you, madam, for nice and elaborate presentation. Since it was the last presentation, we could give extension of time, but it is very relevant. And also at the end, you have agreed to give hand-holding also through support in kind of preparing project report to its implementation and evaluation. Thank you very much. So participants, for your patience listening and attending the program. Actually, ARDO has given only 2 hours time limit per day. But we have exceeded today. 3 hours we have spent online. Apologize for this inconvenience to you, but it is relevant and required also. And if any questions you have, please put it in the WhatsApp group. We will send it to the respective faculty members, experts, and get that information to you. Thank you very much. And tomorrow, 1:45 p.m. of our Indian Standard Time, we will be assembling. That is today's time, 15 minutes early, we have to join for the tomorrow's session. Thank you very much to one and all. We will meet tomorrow.
Dr. Ravi.
Yes,
Dr. Ravi, may I make some comment, like one minute?
Yes, sir,
I am Dr. Husnud Ali from ARDO. Actually, we had a wonderful, presentation from, now we have 4 presentations. But what we are missing, actually last presentation, it was very comprehensive and, very enlightening. It was wonderful. But
yes,
as you are mentioning, a participant can put the question on WhatsApp. I think for me, it will not be appropriate. Maybe everybody will not be connected with WhatsApp group. And if they will be deal with in WhatsApp group, it will not be, it is only now one way communication. Actually, you please allow, maybe you can assign 5 to 10 minutes for very good very precise question, so that participant can interact with the presenter expert.
Okay.
That will be good, I think.
Noted. Noted, sir.
I hope you will consider
Yes,
and
sir,
it will
definitely,
make
sir.
our program more interesting and meaningful.
Okay, sir. Tomorrow I
Thank you
will.
very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes.